Thank you.
President Xi said China will promote trade and investment liberalization and support multilateral trading system. But there is something wrong with the multilateral trading system. That's why America doesn't have faith in it any longer. What do you make of the problems of the global trading system and the WTO itself?
I think the world has been changing very rapidly over the last 25, 30 years, particularly since China joined the WTO in 2000.
Because the trade picture has changed dramatically.
Yes. Global integration has increased very significantly. Millions of people have been raised from poverty into middle class. Many countries have been participating. If you look at trade flows, much more trade is between developing countries now than there was at the beginning of the creation of the WTO, or even in 2000 when China joined the WTO.
Yeah.
So this rapid adjustment, technological change, we have new technology, robotics, AI, many different technological changes in consumer preferences. And I think a challenge for the WTO has been to get members to talk about the existing issues that have been there for many years, agriculture, market access, and those kinds of things, as well as the new issues around the digital economy.
Are you saying there are just too many issues overwhelming everybody's imagination and rational thinking?
I don't think there are too many issues. I just think it's a matter of countries realizing that they need to talk about these kinds of issues, that they need to come together and they need to try to understand the concerns of their people, of other countries, and try to work towards solutions, new rules that will help.
But it seems people are losing faith in coming to the table and talk because they go bilateral more and more rather than having a system that can control everybody's behavior.
Well, the WTO is not about control. It's about engagement and discussion. Yes, members sit in and decide whether or not countries are meeting their obligations. I think there's been a lot of interesting developments in regional trade agreements, preferential trade agreements, where the way I think many of us at the WTO see that is almost like China's approach to experiments around reform. You know, we'll let Shanghai do some things, we'll let Shenzhen and Guangdong, and we'll evaluate. And I think that in the bilateral and regional trade agreements, we see efforts among members to deal with these new issues and learn and experience and develop some pragmatic insights about how we may take the system forward. At the same time, we have to deal with the existing issues around agricultural subsidies and market access, those kinds of things.
But we understand the Doha rounds of the WTO basically went nowhere. But there are regional and bilateral agreements among different countries. Will it still be possible for the world trading nations to have a basic framework down the road, like the WTO's previous efforts?
Well, I think the key is to come to the WTO and start discussing and developing these rules for these new areas. And in Buenos Aires, at our ministerial conference, our 11th ministerial conference, members decided that they wanted to talk about e-commerce, a large number of members. Not every member, but a large number of members, roughly 2/3 of global GDP and 3/4 of global trade, came together, 80-some countries,
because
to say
they believe
it
is a good thing for everybody.
Yes, they do. They do. And we think that's a fine approach as long as it's open to everybody's participation if they want, and if any agreements or any rules that are developed are then applied on an MFN basis.
And what do you make of the significance of the Chinese leaders' pronouncement this time around about trade liberalization?
I think the words are very positive, and as you mentioned, U.S. stock markets are up, but that's fluctuation. Those things go up and down. That's sentiment. It's important that we manage sentiment to the extent that we can. I think what most members at the WTO are going to be looking for are the specific policies that then flesh out these affirming positive words. So it's good that we have positive rhetoric going into the debate, not just negative rhetoric. But I think members are going to want to see, okay, what does this mean? Let's see the laws, the rules, let's discuss them, and let's see how China's going to open up.
Okay. as we say, action is louder than words.
That is correct. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Koopman.
Thank you. Thank you.